On my immediate left, your right, Christian Hamilton, Senior Manager Inclusion. We've had a title change.
One Golf.
One Golf, everything to do with inclusive golf. And on his left is Tony Bennett, the President of EDGA. They're both here to talk about what the Australian All Abilities Championship means, not only this week, but ongoing in a more global sense as well. We've also distributed, gentlemen, to everyone in the room, a bit of groundbreaking news, I believe, if you want to speak to that too.
Terrific, Hazy. Yeah, I suppose I'll start with just giving you a bit of context on what this week means. Yeah, to start with, I'd probably like to acknowledge, my team at Golf Australia. I think we drew a lot of inspiration from the Commonwealth Games with the integration of the parasport into the Commonwealth Games, and you look at events like the Invictus Games, for instance. It was just a really natural progression for us to work with our partners, with EDGA and Tony Bennett, and assemble the world's best players here at the Lakes for their own championship. So I suppose, and also take advantage of the game's design, where we can actually play under the same format, the same conditions as the Emirates Australian Open. So yeah, so we're absolutely delighted, and also I suppose talk about a lot of the things that we're doing with our partners, with EDGA, with the rankings, which I know Tony will talk about in a little bit more detail. But the players are really excited and looking forward to a pretty special week. So yeah, we're really excited.
Well, thanks, and first and foremost, I'd like to say it's great to be here, fantastic to be in Sydney and to be at the Lakes and to be part of the Australian Open. I think it's a wonderful initiative that Christian and the team have put together, and Golf Australia should certainly be applauded for your vision to be able to do such a great event, and it really is a world first, so congratulations for all the work that you've done. And we started with Golf Australia a few years ago as a member of EDGA, and EDGA really took a change of trajectory probably 5 years ago, where we got involved with the federations. We started to work very much with the major bodies in the world. So all the national federations, Golf Australia obviously being one of those, the RNA, the USGA, the IGF, the International Golf Federation. And we started to understand that if we're going to get anywhere in golf for the disabled, we had to do this with the game, not separate to the game or not parallel to the game. It had to be just part of the game. And so that's what we did, and that's the strategy we've taken. And to have partners like Golf Australia and what you're doing down here is great. Just to go on to the event that you've got here this week, 12 players, all those 12 players have come from the ranking, and that ranking was called the Ranking for Golfers with Disability. EDGA set that up 4.5 years ago. We went through the process of developing that, and you'll notice that it doesn't have EDGA's name on it because we never wanted it to be about EDGA. It had to be about a ranking for golfers with disability. And we've worked very, very closely with WAGA on that to try and pull together a ranking that actually makes some sense so that we can get the best 12 players from the world to this event this week. So it's good news. You've got a piece of paper there in front of you. It was announced early hours of the morning, this morning, that the USGA and the RNA together, which are WAGA, they've taken on the responsibility of the R4GD, so it will now have a W put in front of that, so it'll become the World Ranking for Golfers with Disability. And they will take over the management of that from the 1st of January 2019. So that's a terrific step for golf for the disabled, and I think it puts it in the right place. So it will sit alongside the men's ranking, the women's ranking, and the WR4GD, so all good news.
So happy to take questions from anyone here at the moment.
Congratulations on the initiative. What does this week's championship involve, and how does it dovetail with this particular tournament?
Yeah, I'll answer that. Yeah, so it's a 54-hole championship hitting off from Friday through to Sunday. I think the beauty of this event too is that it's fully integrated. We've decided to do everything dovetailing the Australian Open. So what you'll see is 3 balls on Friday, 2 balls on Saturday and Sunday. But I think we made a great decision in treating this as an overall field as well. So these players will be spread out through the field on Saturday and Sunday. So for instance, we envisage the final group of the Australian All Abilities Championship to finish about half an hour in front of the Emirates Australian Open. So to give those players the opportunity to have that stage, walking down the last hole with packed grandstands on Sunday, and not be treated as something that it's at the end of the field, I think is going to be just fantastic. And I'm really proud that we're doing that.
Maybe if I could just add to that as well, is that I think golf for the disabled now has become not an exhibition sport, it's part of the mainstream sport. And I think that's what this initiative is all about. It's taking it away from being an exhibition to being just part of the sport.
Something I know you're both passionate about, but Christian, this is really important heading towards the inclusion possibility down the track of the Paralympic Games as well.
Yeah, look, and everyone knows that we missed out for 2024 with the application, but you know, we spoke about this at length, and this gives us a chance as well to get our own sort of house in order as far as events. And yeah, look, we'll continue to work hard. I know it's a fantastic vision, and the support that we've got from ISPS Handa, for instance, it's been a dream of Dr. Handa to get golf into the Paralympic Games as well. And you know, there's some great, I suppose, alignment with what they're trying to achieve, what we're doing as a sport, what EDGA are doing, and that's primarily the reason why we became a federation member of EDGA, is because we share the same direction. All of our noses are pointing in the same direction. We want to, I suppose, develop together.
I think again there's another benefit from the result, which is not the result that we wanted. We wanted to be in the Paralympics, and make no mistake about that. Everybody was frustrated, everybody was disappointed when we got the news that we were not going to be considered. But the good news about that is that I think since then we've seen a real interest from the major bodies to pull together to get all of this application so that it really makes sense and it's a cohesive strategy that's put together. So what we've seen now is the IGF have committed to a World Championship 2022. USGA is committed to a US Open Championship in 2021. I know the RNA are having some discussions about some possibilities to do an Open Championship. The European Golf Association have got championships now that are on their calendar. So we're beginning to see all of this pulled together, and that's exactly what we need if we're going to get golf into the Paralympics.
I was going to ask that, is that the plan going forward now? Hopefully this is implemented across the world, and you know, even at majors they can, you know, this can be a similar occurrence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we're seeing now as well is we've had an increase in interest as well over the last 3 months. So since we got the news, we've had more interest from federations to saying, well, we actually want to be part of this now. So they're beginning to see that they've got a role to play. If they want to get golf into the mainstream sport and into the Paralympics as well, then they've got to stand up to the plate. So we've had some very good discussions with several federations now in Southeast Asia, obviously in North America, and South Africa now are part of what we do as well. So it really is a global organisation, and we now see 25% of our membership is international, but I would expect that will be somewhere in the region of 50% pretty soon.
Any more questions of Tony?
Forgive me for not fully understanding this at this stage, but will the rankings be based on categories? I mean, for example, people that can walk, can't walk. It may well be outlined in here, and apologies if that is the case, but are you able to explain how that works?
Yeah, broadly speaking, that there's 3 sets of rankings. So there's a gross, a net, and a stable for ranking, because we also have to remember that we deal with 3 pillars particularly. So we start with participation like everybody else does, then we have competition, then we have fandom. And so if we deal with participation first, it would be wrong for us to be able to turn around to those players that want to just get started and say, well, there's no ranking for you. So we have a Stableford ranking. So anything that's over 18.5 and above, they play Stableford in handicap index. Anything below 18.4 or 18.4 and below, they play gross and net. The gross ranking obviously is the major one. That's where the players have come from this week. And it's a pan-disability ranking. So that means that the very top of the ranking, actually as we speak right now, the top of the ranking is a hand player, the second player is a leg player, and so on and so forth. So it could well be that we would have a real mix in that top. I think the third player, if I'm not mistaken, is a short stature player. So you can see there's a mix there. But at the press of a button, we can easily figure out who are the best 12 leg players, the best 12 arm players, the best cerebral palsy players, the best multiple sclerosis players, neurological players. So we can easily do that. It's very straightforward for us to do that. So we understand that the Paralympics likes to put people in boxes and says, well, this is an event just for T4s or T3s or whatever. Golf actually plays together, and that's one of the strengths of our sport. So we have obviously players with disability that can play this week with the highest level players. We have professionals and amateurs that play together, men and women that play together, and so therefore we also have wheelchair players that play with cerebral palsy that play with leg amputees that play with arm amputees, and so it goes. So the rankings are pan-disability.